Hello, welcome to the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. You've come to the right place to tune in and participate with your comments and questions. Love is the greatest healer of all, but sometimes, in order to change our emotions, we must take action in other spheres of our lives. We speak with experts in alternative and complementary health fields and hope you will benefit in some small or great way. Remember, you are wherever your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be.
Health and Show, a subsidiary of Homeopathy World Community, and we're very delighted to have you join us today. Each and every month, we come to you the second Tuesday of the month to bring you extraordinary stories, ideas, people, just ways to change and enhance our lives. So we're really excited to be here today. And I want to let you all know you can join us in our chat. Just put your name, nickname, whatever you like under the video and comment in there. We'd love to have you. As well, you can call us on a landline at 919-518-9773 right into our studio. If you have a question, a comment, anything that you'd like to add to our discussion today, again, you have an open invitation and you can come in on Skype voice, and that is to computers, and that's plural, then the number 2, K voice. That will be voice, not video. So don't worry about it. Just come on in and share your wisdom with us. And so let me say hi to Uta and Pretty. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, Marilyn.
Hey, honey, how you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. These are my 2 very good friends in Homeopathy World Community. I'm so happy to be here with them each week, each month, and all the other times that we get to talk. So good to see you all. And Amnon, who is our producer. Thank you, Amnon, for everything always.
You're welcome, always.
Good. So Uta, would you
Yes,
have the honor, please, of introducing our guest today?
yes, please. We have today Paola Brown speaking to us. She's a wife, a homesteading mother of 3, an educator passionate about homeopathy. She seeks to empower people to incorporate homeopathy into their lives, is president and founder of Americans for Homeopathy Choice, and advocates to protect people's right to choose homeopathy. She's running a project called Teach Me Health and Homeopathy, which is a comprehensive and engaging homeschooling curriculum that teaches children homeopathic principles. Hello, Paola. Have I missed anything in that description?
Thank you. That was perfect. Thank you so much for having me, Marilyn, Priti, and Uta. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think Uta has our first question, and I'm excited to hear what she has to say. And I'm excited for this whole show because as a mother and a grandma, I can't, teaching children from an early age and how to take care of themselves, what's better than that? So Pretty.
So, homeopathic fairy tales. This sounds like a fairy tale. Do you want to talk a little bit about the work that you do with children, Paula?
Yeah, I think that what's really, it's children. Okay, let's start with the concept of fairy tales. Fairy tales, when I heard as a little girl, when I heard like there's a story of the emperor's new clothes. This story, crosses all cultures. It's about a charlatan that comes into a community and convinces everyone that he has these wonderful clothes and nobody can see them, and everybody, the king walks around naked because he thinks he's wearing these fancy clothes, and it just has these really great messages. What I love about stories like that is that no matter what age you are, you get some important meaning out of them. When I was a child, I got one thing. As an adult, and I'm kind of more involved and interested in politics, I get a whole different message, right? And so I really think that stories are very powerful ways to teach children, and it meets the person where they are in their life. And so my homeschooling curriculum, Teach Me Health and Homeopathy, which is available on my website at paolabrown.com. I don't use fairy tales, but I do use stories to transfer the information about homeopathy. And so I famously like to say that this curriculum, this and the storybook is the backbone of the curriculum, is for ages 6 to 96. And that's because it connects to the listener, the child, the adult, the parents, where they're at. And I really believe that, in a home, like a lot of the women that use homeopathy, and I'm not a homeopath, I'm a mother. My curriculum was endorsed by the Academy of Homeopathy Education, but you'll have a family and you'll have grandparents and husband and wife and children, and not everybody loves and appreciates homeopathy. You get some people that are a little skeptical. You get some people that don't know what it is. Some are more curious than other. And story gathers everyone because they're like, all right, I want to hear this story. It sounds interesting. And it's really kind of a clever way to bring all the ages together.
So can I ask the next question? Because I'm very curious. How did you get involved in homeopathy to begin with? What's your backstory?
Well, I got sick. Like a lot of people, right? I was diagnosed with very debilitating autoimmune diseases. I suffered with them for, I think, close to 8 years before it was totally cured. I was living in Houston, Texas at the time, and they call it the medical mecca, where just some of the best, physicians and specialists, they have the M.D. Anderson Cancer Center. And I thought, well, good thing I got sick here because I'm going to find help. And they offered me, Marilyn, they offered me they said, we can give you opioids, but you have to join the support group for the addiction you're going to develop. And my first thought was like, I don't even drink soda pop. Like, if I'm going to form an addiction, like, let's start with something better than just opioids. They said they could cut the nerve to my bladder so I wouldn't feel my bladder anymore. They said they could, here's one. I could insert, it's like a metal tampon that would literally electrocute my bladder to the point of it getting numb, and then I'd have several hours without feeling pain. So I felt like I was offered, mutilation, poison, just torture devices. And I just said, I said to my doctor, I said, look, and I was 20, I was 24, I was pretty young. And I said, look, with all due respect, I don't think I want to do any of these. And she took her hand and put it on mine. Doctors typically, at least my doctors, haven't been very warm. They kind of are detached a little bit. She put her hand on my hand and she said, well, then you'll do it right. You'll find a better way. And that was really empowering to me. And so I did. But then it wasn't homeopathy. It was, everything. You heard that teeth, tried everything, then homeopathy, tried everything else, then homeopathy. Yeah, so I did acupuncture, did herbs, chiropractic, and then I finally found homeopathy, and praise God that I did. And it's been so transformative. Like the raising my I had 2 children. I found homeopathy. I had my 3rd daughter like around that time. My 2 boys had so many like antibiotics, chemical drugs, whatever. Then I have, like, we call her the golden child, Eva, who my storybook, Evie and the Secret of Small Things, you can see Evie. I kind of got inspired by my daughter's name, Eva. Evie and the Secret of Small Things, she's never had a single over-the-counter prescription, anything drug her whole life. And not that I wouldn't use those things if I needed to. Of course I would, but why when you don't have to, So that's my story.
That's fascinating. I can ask you a million questions, but I'm going to be nice and ask these other 2 ladies what they have on their mind. Uta, Pretty? Either one of you have a question?
Probably millions.
Go ahead, start. Go ahead.
So do you want to give us some insight into what your stories are like? Do you have a small story you could tell us?
Yeah. So, I love stories. I love stories. I'm Brazilian originally. We immigrated to the United States, so you don't pick up on my Brazilian accent, but I am fluent. And Brazilians, and actually I think the Irish too, they love their stories. They love telling their stories. And it's like, my husband's always like, well, you're exaggerating. And I'm like, no, I'm not. This is how it happened.
So,
we love.
Paola, can I interrupt? And I'm extremely sorry about this. But did you know that other than humans, nobody else can tell stories, because we are the only ones who can correct the past and the future, and we can gossip. And
Yes.
stories originated from gossip, isn't it?
I love
So,
it.
I mean, no wonder we love stories. And I think you hit a jackpot to figure that out. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well,
I couldn't
I have
resist myself.
it's funny you mentioned gossip. It's funny you mentioned gossip because ever since I was in high school, I loved gossip. I loved, and then I actually through church, at church they taught us about how damaging gossip can be, and I really have had to discipline myself to enjoy good stories and not the bad ones like the gossip, because I know gossip can be so damaging. And there's this quote by C.S. Lewis, one of my favorite writers, says it inspired this curriculum that I wrote. No book is really worth reading at the age of 10, which is not equally and often far more worth reading at the age of 50 and beyond. And that's why I say mine is for ages 6 to 96. So it's a story. So I married into a family. My husband is the oldest of 10 children. So he's the firstborn. I have a wonderful Brazilian family and we have our stories too. But when I married into this family and they're American, I'm Brazilian, it was just like this whole, everything they did was fascinating. And one of the things is that they actually didn't know about homeopathy, but they never used drugs. I remember when I was his fiance, I went to the house, we're in the kitchen and they're all eating. And first of all, I remember they're all eating. So it's him. He had 2 sisters that were already married before he got married and they had kids. And I remember thinking as we ate, so there was 25 people in the room, between all the kids and everyone, and they were eating. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is quieter here in this American family with 25 people than it is with my Brazilian family of 5. It was just everything they did is fascinating. So I remember I said to them, do you guys have a Tylenol? I have a really bad headache. The whole family falls silent. And they all look at me like, we don't have those things in the house. And so Jason's mom just has really good instincts. And she was just like, fevers cure your illness. Why would I give you it? Drink water, hydrate. And so they just, being a large family, they didn't have a lot of money. So they didn't go rushing to the doctor for everything. And so they just got over it. So my book begins with Evie and she's with her, she's in her home and they're having this big family reunion. And Jason's family actually does have, and so Jason's dad is one of 15 siblings. So it's just this, it's a tribe. It's not even a family. It's like a tribe of people. So that's how this story begins, is you're kind of thrust in the middle of this reunion and Grandma Annette, who is inspired in many ways by my mother-in-law. She's kind of a hybrid. She's who she is, didn't use drugs on her kids, was really kind of let your body work things out, plus what I know about homeopathy. So we combine those. And so Evie goes from knowing nothing about homeopathy to learning the secret of small things. And so that's why we call it Evie and the secret of small things, which is the small doses, the tiny things. And so, Grandma just begins through that. And then about halfway through the book, a little past halfway, so Grandma tells them the story of Samuel Hahnemann. She tells them the story of, which is really helpful, I think, from a literary standpoint, because she could talk about things in the past and talk about the present, so I wanted to set it in modern day. So she talks about Hahnemann. She tells the story of Louis Pasteur and Antoine Béchamp and how they hated each other. And there's this awesome feud. And that Pasteur was a liar. Did you guys know he lied about, we know today, there's an article in the New York Times from the 90s that they said, yeah, he lied. He totally lied. He was a liar. And so she tells them these stories and then she goes, because Christmas ends, the family reunion ends, and she goes. And then spring comes and Evie has learned so much about heals about homeopathy, about our terrain theory. She's learned all these kind of principles, but she doesn't know about any of the remedies. And then who comes knocking on the door? Her grandfather from Brazil, who is inspired after my dad, who is this great storyteller. And the funny thing is, I was talking to my dad once. This is, before I wrote my curriculum, but my homeopath had given me, guess which remedy, ladies? Phosphorus. And it was the first.
I'm so surprised.
I know, it's so shocking. So my homeopath gave me phosphorus, and I had been very sick. And I was talking to my father on the phone. I said, Dad, would you say a prayer for me that the homeopath has selected the right remedy? It's called phosphorus. It's going to come in the mail. I'm going to get it today. And my dad goes, wait. Fósforo, which is Portuguese for phosphorus. And I said, yeah. And he goes, Paola, when I was a child, my mom took me to a doctor And that doctor, it was he said, this is our doctor my whole childhood. It was this guy. And I remember he used to ask me the weirdest questions. I had this horrible, I think it was a cough. And the guy was asking me about what kind of dreams I had and what made me angry, what made me happy. And I remember distinctly as a child thinking, dude, I have a cough. Why do you need to know about my dreams? But he prescribed to me phosphorus, which is so interesting that, these kind of generational remedies, but my homeopath never talked to his homeopath. So it's just cool how homeopathy really is a system of medicine that leads to truth. And so that kind of, when I realized that my father had grown up with homeopathy and I suffered years, nearly a decade to find it, I said, no, this is ridiculous. We have to give a tool for families to pass this on to their children, because never again do I want to be in a situation where my children don't know about it because I didn't know how to pass that on. So in the storybook, Grandpa comes into town and he starts telling her all of these stories, which are mostly true in the book. They're mostly true of my dad's childhood in Brazil. He was a street urchin, very poor, humble upbringing. Now he has a master's, but in business, but at the time, very humble beginnings in Brazil. And he's got some really great street urchin stories where, the boys run through traffic naked. I mean, just like these great stories. But what happens is each of the stories culminates into an injury of some sort, which allows Grandpa to teach 19 different remedies to Evie, all centered around accidents.
So how many books have you written, published?
Well, this teach, because Evie and the Secret of Small Things is, it's like a novel, really. It's 300 plus pages. I have it in audiobook at paolabrown.com. So I don't read to my kids as much as I should. So we listen to audiobooks from a professional, performer. So I have this book. I have, as part of the Teach Me Health and Homeopathy system, has a teacher's manual. So there's another book, and there's 3 workbooks that are leveled by age. So I have here for you to see, this is grades 4 through 8. This is level 2. And then I have here level 1, which is grades 1 through 3. So I designed this curriculum. So I have a master's in curriculum and instruction. I designed this curriculum with, think about family, right? Think about my husband's family, 10 kids. Think about, I homeschool my kids. You don't want to do one lesson to the little kids, a different lesson for the middle kids, and the last lesson. Who has the time? Who the hell has the time for that? I'm not going to do that. So what I did is I thought, okay, we have a storybook that spans across all generations, right? And then what we do is you teach one lesson, and then you assign the same assignment to everyone, but the assignments in each of the workbooks and the 3 levels are leveled. So let me give you an example. One of the first assignments they do is they learn about the side effects of drugs, because that's what you need to know as an adult. When your doctor prescribes you something, you need to sit your butt on a computer and you need to do some research. So the little kids, level 1, what they do is they will sit down, and I've rewritten the side effects to acetaminophen, Tylenol, or whatever. I've written out the side effects, but I've used, instead of diarrhea and vomiting, I'll say watery poop. And kids poop, they love it, right? So I just simplify the language, and they are able to kind of do some matching and things like that. The middle age, they actually get the original drug label language. That's the level 2. And they actually, both level 1 and level 2, they get to draw a picture of, there's a little human body outline, and they get to draw the side effects into the body. So jaundice, yellow skin, so they're coloring that human body. There's even a little toilet, and the kids love it. They're like, oh my gosh, I get to draw poop. They love it. So then the high school kids, the level 3 students, they actually have to go and research. I give them the drug names. They have to go sit down, research those drugs, summarize it, so it's all the same assignment. You're teaching all the kids at the same time. And, there's so many parts to this. There's a whole video section of experiments. If you want to do the experiments at home, more power to you. But we've all been there. I don't have time to do the damn experience with my kids. So watch the video. And I have, 3 dozen plus videos on there that were either curated from the internet, but most of them I made myself. Here's a great video that I have. The tuning forks, the law of similars, like heals like. So I show an experiment with tuning forks where if you have 2 that are the same, you hit one tuning fork and the other one sings spontaneously, right? And then I show with a different note, a different tuning fork tone, you hit one and it stays silent. So I have all these videos that are part of the lessons that are all built in when you get the program. It's all, you get all of it.
I have a
So
burning question.
tell me your burning question.
How are you handling mental illness and emotional issues? Because, I can't help but feel that is such an important role in teaching children, young adults about health.
Yeah. I had to really kind of focus on the scope of what we would be able to do in this curriculum. And I decided to really focus on the acutes, which is accidents, just really focus on that. We do kind of discuss the mental state, like aconite, the shock, fear of death, carbo-veg. We talk about how you can see, some people see ghosts, and that's a symptom of needing carbo-veg. But I really felt it was important that these kids learned about staying in acutes, and really we're not, legally, I'm not really teaching them how to use the remedies and take them themselves, but it's like, you grow up with this knowledge about gravity, you grow up with this understanding of the world, the scientific understanding, and I really think it's important that kids grow up with this scientific understanding that comes with the truth of homeopathy as part of their worldview.
Well, anything you can teach them about their health and understanding shock or a trauma is lays the groundwork. So what you're doing is brilliant. I'm thinking about all the places I can share you.
Oh, thank you.
Pretty, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to ask, as parents, as maybe we are motivated for our children to learn this, but what is the motivation for children to learn this? I mean, how do you encourage children to participate in something like that?
I mean, it goes back to story. It's I was very particular that the character is a young girl. If they feel like they can relate to her, she's got two brothers, they're a little bit older. If kids feel like they can connect, I mean, I remember there's this part in the book where everyone gets the flu during the reunion, which is true. This happened. We all had this huge family reunion. We call it the Black Plague or the Brown Plague, because we're all the Browns, right? We got this horrible flu, and grandma offers them homeopathy, and everybody just is kind of suspicious and they turn it down, which is kind of, that's real. We've all been there, right? But grandma says, okay, fine. Then I'm going to chop up garlic and I'm going to put honey and garlic on a spoon. And my poor children, they had to read this book, listen to this book many times before it was finalized. And I was reading it to my daughter, and Evie in the book, she says, all right, grandma, you gave everyone this weird honey and garlic. I want to try it. And in the story, Evie tries it and she goes, it wasn't that bad. And my daughter sitting next to me looks at me. Oh, okay, so I guess it's not that bad. Because she believes the character, she can relate to the character. And that, I think, motivates children. I also think what's really delightful about this curriculum is it allows kids to connect with you. It's like some families don't homeschool. Their kids go to school Monday through Friday. But if you teach one lesson a week, you will get through a whole year's worth of curriculum. We have 39 lessons. That's an average school year in weeks. And so they love that they get to connect with mom or grandma or whoever it is that's teaching the lessons to them. And I think that's really exciting for them. And they enjoy that. There's a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
And I was just going to say, I also think, based on your story just now about your daughter, sometimes it's a lot easier, but they want to learn from something else. So from the story, from the telling of the story, your daughter got it. If you had told it to her just straight out, here's honey and blah blah.
Yeah, take it.
She may not take it as well as in the story.
It's what Mary Poppins says. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. That's the power of story. Story is your spoonful of sugar. It helps the knowledge go down. Yeah.
Perfect. Uta, did you?
Fantastic. I'm listening. It's fantastic, and I think it's very important or a very good move to actually teach children, as you rightly said. We will have a different society if we teach the children what's good for them, and it's a fantastic thing you've grown for the young generation and for the adults too, of course. That fascinating. Absolutely.
So
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead. I don't. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things I think a curriculum like this offers parents an opportunity to is to connect at an intimate level with your kids. I'm actually kind of surprised. I guess Brazilians are more open than a lot of other cultures. Not all. I mean, that's like a very big generalization, but like my family, when I was a teenager, like my mom, my dad, my brothers, we'd sit at the dinner table and the topic of like, you know, intimacy, sex comes up, and we would talk about it openly, not about like my parents in particular, but the subject. And it wasn't like embarrassing, or we were very, very open family. And when I married into my husband's family, like they don't talk about that. You know what I mean? Or, they're just a lot more. And I have found that this curriculum, a lot of people who have come to homeopathy have stories like mine, where they really suffered, where they really struggled, where they really learned the hard way. And I think it's so important to pass these messages on to our children. Because do we take time to tell them about that one really big struggle, that really hard decision you made, the turmoil? Sometimes we tell other adults that, but we forget that we don't really talk to our kids about that. And we need like the opportunity, occasion to. Have another quote. It's by Fred Rogers. And he says, anything that is human is mentionable. And anything that is mentionable can be more manageable. When we can talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming, less upsetting, less scary. So I really do think that there's these discussion questions after each of the chapters that allows you to kind of pause. And I think it gets you to think of, I relate to this in the story when the doctor tried to give, because in the story that grandma tells, a doctor comes and tries to do bloodletting on a young man in Germany named Franz. And he did it the first time. Franz gets worse. The doctor comes back a second time to do more bloodletting. And Martha and Friedrich, the parents, said no more. Then they go and get Samuel Hahnemann. That scene where they tell the doctor, stop, you're not doing this. The doctor says, your son can die if you don't do this. Where have we seen this before? Where have we heard this before? It really kind of offers opportunities, the story and the discussion guide and the teacher's manual, for parents to think about their lives and why they've chosen the path they have, and to open up with your kids and talk about those things, because then it becomes more than just learning homeopathy as a health/science subject. It becomes passing on your sufferings and your struggles with them.
So how well received and by whom? I mean, how well does it go out there? I mean, I'm like all over this because I involved a lot of women's stuff, and plus being a grandmother, and I have, autoimmune. So I, from a child, from an infant. So I'm like, okay, so how well received, and who are those parents? Who is your, who are they?
I have to say, I was pretty terrified when I first released this, because this went out to a large group. We get parents of all kinds. You don't have to be a homeschooler. Again, Saturday, Sunday is some people's homeopathy days. But I have to say the majority have been homeschooling moms. And let me tell you, you think a homeschooling mom is picky about what kind of stuff their kids learn? I mean, they pulled them out of school because they were not satisfied with whatever the school was doing. You know what I mean? So these are very picky, very discriminating moms. And the feedback I have gotten, like it brings me to tears sometimes. Like it just has been so well received. I love the story. Women, the scene that I was just telling you guys, where Martha, the mother, and Friedrich, the father, send the doctor away from bloodletting. I get emails all the time. This part made me cry because they've been there. It was just in a different century in the story, but they've been there. And so I'm really delighted that it's connected so well to the group of people that I wanted to connect to. And, I had a really fantastic focus group. And in my focus group, I had Christians, people who were Jewish, people who didn't have belief, people who didn't have children, people who had lots of children, people who had one child, kids who were out of the house. Like I really got a fantastic diverse group, and I'm very thankful to them because they read just about every page in this program. And we've been able to, I think, give something that people are really wanting.
So have I understood it correctly? The curriculum is designed as such that it's the same for the different age groups. So you don't have to start with the small one and then go on to the middle and then the big one. So it's the one running through.
Yeah, I call it,
entire-
you know, like back in the old days, I'm sure all the countries did this, the one room schoolhouse,
Yeah.
where all the kids, so this is a one room schoolhouse curriculum.
Okay.
Mhm.
So people don't have to start with the lower classes and then get on to the next ones.
Yep. But the nice thing is, like, if you teach it when they're young and you
Mhm.
teach it again when they're older, it's like that same story, that same
Mhm.
fairy tale. You do connect to a deeper sense of meaning each time. So I call it cycles. You should do it at least, if you can start when they're young, 3 times before they graduate high school.
Fascinating.
So I had a question that why not just a story? Why couldn't it be a storybook? And what motivated or inspired you to convert it into a curriculum?
Yeah, the
And
whole
what are the
thing.
pros and cons? Yeah.
Well, I think the storybook can stand on its own. Some people are busy, and if all you can do minimum is listen to the audiobook, which you can get that. We sell it in CD, or if you're overseas and you don't want to ship the CD, you can stream it from my website. You can buy that version. So that it does stand alone. But I do think that there's so much to homeopathy that I couldn't put it all in the book. You would just like fall asleep, just being bored to death. Like the tuning forks, like that lesson. Or you get to do experience where you dilute, you know, food coloring or whatever, paint. Or we actually do this really great lesson where you have the ink, you take a paintbrush and you dip it in the water once, or you dip it in the ink once. That's your mother tincture. Then you dip it in water once, then you dip it in water again, and it shows sequential dilutions. So it does have, I think it takes kind of the story, and each chapter of the story is specifically structured, and there's 2 or 3 lessons that follow up to kind of go deeper on the things Evie is touching on. In the very last part of the book, where they learn all 19 remedies, they have a really great opportunity to actually do their own materia medica, and there's an art project with each of the remedies. So I think that makes it, so they have something tangible after they have their own, and they do bookbinding, how you can learn how to sew a book or whatever. So it's really a multidisciplinary curriculum. So if you want to go beyond just reading a book with your kids, and you want to do the science projects, the essays, the poetry, like there's so many assignments that I think allow kids to kind of go deeper. And what's really nice, I have a lot of families that are doing this year, and they're saying, because there's so much art, we're not doing an art curriculum this year. This is taking the place of art and of our health block. I wouldn't say it replaces so much writing, although there's a lot of writing, but it does kind of round it out, I think, a little bit bigger. So,
with the pandemic here in the States in particular, I mean, there's a lot of kids that are being homeschooled that are not, and the families are not prepared, generally speaking. So this is like a wonder to me.
Yeah, I have 3 free lessons. If you go to the website teachkidshomeopathy.com, I give away 3 free lessons from this program. You get a chapter from the storybook, you get the 3. So I release those. So go to teachkidshomeopathy.com. You'll get, I haven't even told you guys, there's a whole memory work music component where there's, how many, 24 songs to help you memorize all 19 remedies. So Arnica, Montana, like there's all these little songs to help them memorize 19 remedies, and then 5 additional homeopathy principles, the law of suppression, those kinds of things. So and you can get that on iTunes. I sell the CD as well at my website, paolabrown.com. But in the teachkidshomeopathy.com website, you'll get 3 free lessons. You get 1 of the songs, you get the Belladonna song, and really well done. One of the things that concerns me is sometimes in homeopathy, like we're just all so busy, we're trying our best, and sometimes we can't get out very high quality stuff. I wanted this to compete with top-notch, conventional type curricula that you see out there being sold by big companies, and it's The music is high quality. The recordings are high quality. The book is, the storybook is in full color. The workbooks are black and white, really well done. So all printed, no digital copies except for maybe like the audiobook. So
did
You're
you
a
have any
play.
child coming up saying that, whenever he or she has a fall, I'm going to self-prescribe arnica, or mom, just get me the belladonna, I'm having a lot of headache. Do you have stories like that?
I do, actually. I do. My daughter, she like tends to cut herself really easily, like paper cuts, or she's chopping in the kitchen. She's only 8, but my kids are pretty independent, and so I've taught her how hypericum, I try and say these things like hypericum, high pain, right? So high pain. And then I say, the funny thing about hypericum is the cut can be so tiny, the injuries can be so small, but the pain is so big. And so she stepped on something. It wasn't like a puncture wound, but she cut her foot or something. She's like, it really hurts, little tears in her eyes. And I said, Eva, you know what you need. Hypericum, high pain, I know, and she went and so I am careful. I do think that kids shouldn't just be taking remedies without moms. But we do discuss it, and I do encourage her to think about it. So actually, I have another story if you want to hear one.
Yeah. And I just want to say, you must have had a really wonderful time creating this.
I did. It was really, I work for Americans for Homeopathy Tools. I pull 40 hours a week, unpaid, for my advocacy work there. And when I was writing this, I would sometimes spend the weekends, Saturday, all day Sunday, and I would pull like 20 hours just on the weekend, just at a cafe writing. And I was, other than like the ache in my back, from sitting for so long, I loved every second. It was like, it's dripping with all my love and joy. Like this whole thing is just full of that. So yeah. But I was going to tell you this. Here's my story. You want to hear the story?
Sure.
So about a little less than a year ago, we had New Year's, so New Year's is coming up. So a little while ago, last year, New Year's, we had shot off all these fireworks up into the sky. And we love fireworks. And the ones that shoot like whew, big ones. We got big ones. Well, we thought we had shot them all off, but there was one that we never saw that was behind the door. Well, one day I was upstairs in my room. I was working with my daughter on her homework, and I hear the boys downstairs, and I hear them kind of scuffling, and he was 12 at the time. The laugh. And I'm like, what are they doing? And then I hear the younger brother go, no, don't. And then I hear an explosion. I thought maybe a door slammed. No. So I wait a moment, like one, and I hear this like, oh, like this scream that did not sound good. And me and my daughter like look at each other, and I hear running up the stairs. His hand is black, like burnt chicken, black. And he's going, I'm going to die. Okay. For the record, everything's fine. This has a very good ending. The fire, what he did was he was downstairs like a perfect 12-year-old. He got the firework and he had a lighter. I'm going to light it. No, I'm not. I'm going to light it. No, I'm not. Oh my gosh, I just lit it. And thank God the firework shot out of his hand. It wasn't like a firecracker would have taken his hand off, but it was one that shot out of his hand under the couch, exploded. First thing I did is run downstairs because I was worried that maybe the curtains were on fire, like after he ran up. So like phosphorus, smell, smoke. It was like a war zone. So I'm like, okay, the living room is not on fire. So I come back up, and my son. So this is fascinating. And this is what I tell my curriculum, like, stop after the crisis is over. Talk to your kids about this. My son, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. That's all he said over and over and over again. And what does he need, girls? Aconite, right?
Aconite.
Aconite, right? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Fear of death, right? And in my memory work music, the Aconite song is like just dun, 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 just kind of like, shock or whatever. So I give him Aconite, and I'm not joking. It was just so amazing. He goes, oh, okay, maybe I'm not going to die. And then and then he goes, but it hurts, it burns, it hurts, it hurts, it burns, it burns, it burns. So of course Cantharis. We put it under the water, and I thought like the ash, like I thought he just had soot, but no, his hand was burnt black. Like it was not good. Like I'm telling you, burnt chicken. And so I gave him aconite, and we gave him not aconite, a cantharis, and we did a few other remedies. Later on, we did causticum. But after about 20 minutes, he's holding his hand, and I'm asking him, what's your pain level? He'd be like 10, 10, 10. After 20 minutes, I was like, what's your pain level? And he just looks at me. It's 0. And I was like, okay, Mateus, homeopathy works. Great. Wonderful. What is really your pain level? He's like, no, really, truly, if I don't move it, like if I don't move my hand, it's 0. I'm like, well, it's because I'm so awesome and homeopathy works, So afterwards, after it was all over, actually my daughter Eva, she cried all day. Just the whole thing was so shocking. I gave her some aconite, and she just laid on my shoulder and just cried because it was so, her stupid brothers. But after it was all over, it was just so amazing that like it was this powerful experience. So we talked about it. I'm gonna die, guys. Because I didn't tell him what remedy I was giving him at the time. I was just like, open up. Open up. I'm not going to have a conversation. It was so cool because my son was like, I was like, okay, so what remedy did I give you? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And all the kids, aconite, and then I'm like, okay. And then we went through, okay. And he burned his hand. What remedy is that? And they look in their little notes, and they're like, cantharis. I'm like, yep, that's right. So we are like, we're learning, and we're kind of all learning to speak the same language. So it's great. And my son learned his lesson.
Can people connect with you when they're doing the course? Do you engage with them?
I do.
Where?
We have a Facebook group. It's called, just look it up on Facebook, Teach Kids Homeopathy with Paola Brown. So just go request to enter Teach Kids Homeopathy. I'm on social media, Paola Brown Homeopathy, like at Paola Brown Homeopathy. You guys can check that out. I actually am pretty active on social media. I go live in my stories several times a week, and I have some fun things. I share my stories and everything with people. So, but the Facebook group is really fun. And actually, just so you guys know, like that's where I give special discounts, extra sales are especially to the Teach Kids Homeopathy Facebook group. So you have to request to enter, give me your email, and just say, what's your favorite homeopathy remedy? Some people are like, I don't know yet. So that's fine. But just answer the questions, because if not, we don't allow entry. You have to answer the questions. So
I have a question.
Yeah. Oh, hi. Yes.
So you said my son learned his lesson, right?
Yes.
Did anybody else?
Oh, I'm sure they all did. Well, the other 2 learned that their brother's a dummy. But
that's not what I was driving at.
No, my other 2 kids never would have played with matches. Like they're my more cautious, think things through kids. Yeah, we all learned a lot.
Okay, now you said it. We all did. That's good.
We all learned a lot. Yeah.
I just want to mention out there, if anybody wants to take a moment and call in, this is your time, 919-518-9773, or you can come in on Skype voice. So just go to computers, that's plural, the number 2K voice. And you can also join us in our chat and ask questions in there or comment. This is your time, so take us up on it. We really would love to have you. Uta, Pretty, do you have a question?
You said you don't, you are not a homeopath, Paola. So your experience with homeopathy is just as somebody who has taken homeopathy, or I'm not sure if I got that very well.
No, that's right. I've used homeopathy. I've learned from a lot of really great homeopaths. And then I worked closely with the Academy of Homeopathy Education. It's a school based out of New York. And they reviewed everything and corrected things and helped me. So that was really important to get that endorsement from this school. And they're in a China accredited school, really great school. So yeah, but I would say, I've learned from just really great great homeopaths out there, and I've been blessed to kind of, I find it so interesting. I don't want to become a homeopath. I want everybody else to become a homeopath. So,
Well,
All
for
right.
somebody who hasn't got a Christmas present yet, I know one, or actually three.
right.
Yeah, what can be more fascinating than a present that will engage you for longer than just Christmas Day and will actually keep you engaged with the family together? I think it's absolutely a wonderful present. If I had kids, I would certainly get it.
And I really am like exploding with ideas. So go to paolabrown.com and sign up to my email list. I just released over Thanksgiving, like my business partner right now is just texting me because she's packaging these things up to ship. I released a whole card game to learn homeopathy. And it's darling. I don't know if all of you guys know, all the listeners know this, but homeopathy was supported by like, still today, the Queen of England and her family use homeopathy. So in my card game, you have Queen Victoria, you have Gandhi, you have Louisa May Alcott, Charles Darwin, and they're all depicted as children, and they've all gotten sick, and they're all in bed, so their cards are face down. And you need to play the card game to try. The first person to get 5 kids healed and out of bed wins. So in the card game, you have homeopaths like Constantine Herring, Samuel Hahnemann. You have, Stanton, Kent, have all these great homeopaths. And so you play the game. And in the process, you learn the same remedies in my curriculum, the 19 remedies. But so if you want something kind of, the curriculum is a little bit of an investment. It's just $290 so for all of the books. But this is just a small card game, a smaller budget, and it's a great stocking stuffer. So we just released it, and it's really great. So
I am blown
Paula,
away
I
by-
just had, sorry, go ahead, Mohan.
No, I'm just blown away by the creativity. Go ahead.
All right. So do you have any experiences with, you have, as a homeopath, I see a lot of children, and, some of them are like calcaria. I don't know if that's one of the remedies that you have covered. And, these children are very fearful. And, when they hear all these diseases and what could go wrong possibly with them or with their families, they may get like really scared. And I don't know. So how have you handled that? And
yeah, that's a very good question. I think with COVID, kids are really kind of, kids all around the world now know, like, we are mortal. We are mortal people, and we can get sick. I actually think that this curriculum, instead of making them feel scared, actually brings them great comfort, because now they know the world is not a safe place. The world is full of dangers, full of risks. And now I know something that maybe not everybody knows about. I have this secret tool, the secret weapon to take throughout my life. I actually think it builds confidence and comfort and courage. And I think that's really what we're trying to give everyone.
Yeah, it's good to empower them. And I just wanted to hear your experience with them. Thank you so
Very
much.
good question. That's a great question.
So you have a minute left
Mm-hmm.
before you go to do something else that's also very powerful. What's your final message with us? We'll be here, and we're going to have a great conversation after you leave, but what's your final message?
I think my final message is that I had 2 parents who grew up with homeopathy in their lives, and they were very blessed by it, but it fell by the wayside. My dad went to college. My mom really wanted my dad to graduate, get the American dream, get medical health insurance was a big deal to her. The moment my dad graduated and got a real job and real medical insurance, she threw out her homeopathy kit because she thought, now I have real medicine. And my message is, don't make the same mistake. My mother is a big lover of homeopathy now, and she knows, the depth of it. She thought it was just this kind of Band-Aid temporary thing. Don't miss the opportunity to pass this on to your kids, to, go get those free lessons. You don't have to buy anything. Just go to teachkidshomeopathy.com, get the free lessons. You'll get a lesson a week for 3 weeks, and do it. The Christmas break is coming up for a lot of you. That's like perfect time. You can teach 1 or 2 lessons a week. You can get through all 3 lessons over the weekend. And it's going to be a very powerful tool. I call it generations of health. You know, the generations of health stopped at my mom and my dad because I got really sick. Well, I've reclaimed it, and I'm ensuring that my family tree is strong. And that's what I want for you guys, to have generations of health.
Well, we thank you for being here. We're gonna have a great conversation behind your back.
Okay, my ears are burning.
But we know you have to go. So anything final, ladies? Anything with Paola before she leaves?
Muito obrigada.
De nada.
Well,
Was fascinating. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
thank you for being here, and I will reach out some more.
Sounds great. That would be wonderful.
Thanks.
A lot of
Yeah,
fun.
we
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You were
Bye-bye.
fascinating. Bye-bye.
So Uta and Pretty,
Yes.
your thoughts. I mean, you work mostly with adults. So this notion of working with children and adults, I mean, to me, homeopathy is like a fairy tale anyway. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's absolutely the right way to get homeopathy promoted by making it the most normal of thing that children can actually learn and grow up with. It's an awareness that we need, that we as homeopaths need, that homeopathy needs. And, you know, homeopathy is nothing against other types of medicine or other treatment approaches. It's something that goes alongside. And you don't always have to, you know, go in if someone's sick with invasive treatments of any kind. So homeopathy is there. It's a gentle form, and so use it as much as you can and resort to other things where homeopathy may not be the ultimum in treatment approach. So this course, I think, is absolutely lovely to get young people interested in our healing art.
So I'm going to share my little piece. So as a homeopath, I see a lot of patients and clients. And if I just kind of sit back and after today's little talk that we had with Paola, just kind of put a trend of what I do in my clinic or what kind of people that I see in my clinic. See, these younger children, they love homeopathy, yeah, because homeopathy is these sweet pills that they have to take, and they don't have to, you know, take those medicines that are bitter or go through injections and things like that. So when the parents are informed and when they bring these young kids for homeopathy, they are more than happy to take homeopathy. But as they become maybe teenaged and as they are becoming young adults, when they take their own decisions, they become more logical and more, they want to go on the web and, research things. These are the people, these are the children who would come to homeopathy as a last resort. When they've tried the conventional medicine, when they've seen that it does not work, then they would want to try homeopathy. And they'll be the ones who will be asking, I've come to you for my migraine, and why are you asking me about my stress or my dreams or my cravings and things like that.
I have a question.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the merit of this is to, empower them from the very beginning to understand the science behind homeopathy and see it like an alternative or an option for them to, to go to in the first place. Yeah.
Is it easier to treat a child than an adult because of more baggage, or is it harder because of less baggage and less like information you can get? What does that look like?
I don't think you can. Sorry, go on.
Rita. No,
I
go
don't
ahead,
think you
Rita.
can. I don't think you can say harder. It's maybe different, but it's not. Either can be hard and either can be simple in a way. Because what we do as homeopaths, we go for the symptoms, and we want to know what the suffering is. We need to hear the voice of the patient and how the patient describes how he or she feels. And let's say children are sometimes a bit better than adults at describing how they feel and they describe pain, for example, or how they describe how unwell they're feeling. So I don't think it's really harder because you can have adults with a lot of baggage that are hard to treat, and you can have children that are not very well in describing how they feel. But it's different, in my opinion. What do you think, Pretty?
No, I agree totally with what you're saying. The only merit is that with children, you get to become a child. Yeah. So you talk to them in their language. So it's just more interesting, I feel. And you don't have to cross the barrier of ego. They are so uncompensated. They're just out there. So it's easier to elicit history because, as homeopaths, we really want to know you as an individual. So I think from that perspective, it's good. But also in children, while you're treating children and when you're treating deeper conditions, not just injuries and aches, but, more deep-seated conditions, often it's important to understand what is the mother's history during pregnancy, what happened during those 9 months emotionally and psychologically. And that can be a little difficult to crack and explain to your clients out there. Yeah. But I think both has their merits, and it's interesting either ways.
It kind of becomes a family thing.
It does.
I think, we certainly want to thank our Richard, right, who helped us find Paola and invited her on. So thank you, Richard, for being so helpful and helping us find such a wonderful guest and interview today. And just, Uta, Pretty, anything about Homeopathy World Community or anything else you want to share?
Yes, I want to share something because we have at Homeopathy World Community coming up a really exciting course on the basics of astrology. We will be running a medical astrology course in the new year, and a prequel course to that is the basics of astrology. So if you're interested in learning the basics of astrology, then take a look at our website, homeopathyworldcommunity.com. We will be advertising the course there. It's a fabulous course that will go in depth into the details of astrology. And it's the prequel to the medical astrology course. The medical astrology course will be something that we will be running for practitioners of the healthcare approaches, but the introduction into astrology is something that anybody can do who's interested in astrology. So that's coming up in January.
They sign up where?
On our website.
Perfection.
Homeopathyworldcommunity.com.
Cool. And Pretty, anything else?
So I just wanted to remind everybody out there, whether you're a homeopath, somebody who believes in homeopathy, somebody who wants to learn homeopathy, do join our community. The membership to our Homeopathy World Community is at no extra charge until the 4th of January. So use this time, join this beautiful community, and it's all about, creating waves of awareness. So we hope to see you there. And again, on the homeopathyworldcommunity.com website.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and joining us today. And we will see you next month after the holiday, actually. Yeah, right. Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Time goes by so fast. Anyway, stay safe. And we're so happy to be here with you. We love you. And bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.